Watching Breakfast Television, I'm Meredith. And how realistic is it to take a road trip with an electric vehicle? There's no question that EVs are the way of the future, but range anxiety might be holding people back from taking the trips that they love. Lucky for us, our resident automotive expert, our very own Stephanie Henry, has some of those answers. Hi, Steph.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great. I know you've had a busy one, so thanks for being here and sharing this with us, because so many questions that people have about EV vehicles. I think there's a lot of curiosity. I think there's a lot of love, but there is some of that range anxiety.
Yeah, there's that range anxiety. There's also a hesitation about taking the plunge and going full EV. I know yesterday we had a segment on the show just about, things you need to know when it comes to EVs. And range anxiety seems to be one of the things that kind of holds people back from, really jumping in head first. Now, I had the pleasure of exploring Europe for the very first time, everybody. It was wonderful. And it was really European cities in Ontario, which is fantastic. About 300 kilometers worth of range. Take a look. So we started off in Cambridge, Ontario at just over 400 kilometers worth of range in the Nissan Ariya. And we are about 1/4 of the way through our trip. We are on our way right now to London, Ontario, which I'm really excited about. We're also going to Copenhagen. We're ending off in Paris, Ontario, and also heading to Sparta as well. And really excited to go through these European cities in Ontario. It's so cool to finally get to go to Europe in Ontario. Okay, so we are on the last leg of our European city tour in an EV. We're at 45%. We've got 208 kilometers left. Do you know, or can you guess where we're going next? Give you a hint. Paris! We finally made it to Paris with 25% left on our EV road trip through European cities. Now it's time to do what the Parisians do. I've been following a map all day. It's time to follow the smell of croissants to celebrate.
Well, that was so fun.
So fun.
Road tripping with our own Stephanie Henry. And what did you take away from that in terms of the EV road trip?
Yeah, so the Nissan Ariya has about 465 kilometers worth of range. And it wasn't only me that kind of went on this road trip. There were 6 other people that went on the trip as well. What was interesting about this was the fact that even though we all started off with the same amount of range and kilometers, we all ended off differently. So I think I had about 25% left, if I'm remembering correctly. So this is kind of where I stood. I'm a little bit at the bottom. And there are different reasons why your range may be different, even though we all did the same trip and took the same route. It's how you drive and where you drive, right? If you're driving on the highway using a lot more, speed, RPMs, all of that, of course, you're kind of putting more pressure on the motor.
Yeah.
But if you're taking, side streets and routes, then you're kind of, coasting a little bit more, and you can be a little bit more efficient as well.
Stopping for those European snacks?
Yeah, European snacks.
So we've got like a minute left. What do you think, people most need to know about some of those EV curveballs that you might have encountered on your trip?
Yeah. Well, of course, So when it comes to planning your next road trip, especially if you have an EV, you got to consider a few different things. So weather is a big one. We talked about that a bit yesterday, but you have to consider weather. Inclement and severe weather is definitely going to impact the amount of range you have. So I'm talking winter, cold batteries as well. You can reduce your range to anywhere from about 20 to 40% in some cases, which is not good. Of course, you want to check out charging stations. You're already planning your route, so plan for those charging stations. And speaking of charging stations, plan for downtime. We already do that when we are, thinking about where we're going to eat, where we're going to rest, where we're going to explore. So you definitely want to consider those things when you're on your road trip as well.
Well, thank you for taking us with you. We always learn so much from our very own Stephanie Henry, and I think you're getting everybody more confident.
Yeah.
Stepping into that EV lifestyle.
Absolutely, especially heading into spring and summer.
Yes.
It's going to be a good one.
Amazing.
Yeah.
More breakfast television coming up after this. Thanks, Steph.